By the end of this video, you will feel inspired, prepared, and have so much more depth in terms of what it means to connect with your young person, right? So before we get started, here's the foundational piece around all this. Become who you want them to be. Now, what does this have to do with connection? If you want to connect with your teenager, you need to be inspiring and you need to not be controlling, right? So one of the ways that I always encourage parents, if they're troubled with who their teenager is becoming, is for them to become the qualities of who they want them to be. And practicing that is enough, okay? So that's a foundation. Number one, here's how you can be. And all this is actually about you, by the way. It's not about your teenager, and because that's what you can kind of control or what you can master is yourself. And what you can practice in is yourself. So number one, be humble. Humility is an attractive force. It creates a certain access to us where people feel like they want to get to know us, like they want to understand us, especially if we are willing to do so much for others and put ourselves second, not in like a martyrdom kind of way, but in a way that we just give and enjoy the service of giving. I mean, those kind of people are inspiring people, right? There's this old Buddhist adage of a story of a student and a master who sit down to have tea. And the student is very eager and has a lot of ideas about their spiritual path and a lot of questions. And not that this is wrong. And he goes in and he sits down with the master, and the master's quiet and listening and listening and listening. The master's very patient. Yes. The student's very eager and sharing and all the things he's learned and all the things he's read from the text and is kind of espousing sometimes. And sometimes you realize he feels a little guilty around how he was talking to the master, and then he kind of takes it back and shares some other ideas. Even sometimes he's quiet. And then the student picks up the tea and pours the cup of tea for the master and sets it down. And the master picks up his pot of tea and is looking at the student very intently and just starts pouring. And the student's sharing. And suddenly the student looks down and the tea is flowing all over the table. And the student says, Master, what have you done? And it's this beautiful ornate table with all these different cups and things. And there's tea everywhere spilling onto the floor. The student's kind of freaking out. And the master just sets down the pot and just keeps listening. And the student's kind of talking. And he is wiping it up. And then this sort of meeting concludes and the master walks away quietly. And the student's very perplexed because everything the master does has great impeccability. So there must have been some reason that he was doing that. And so he went back to meditating and sat for days and weeks. And then one day it just came to him in a flash of insight. My cup was too full. I didn't have an empty cup. And the next time the master saw the student, he said, you understand now. Come to me with an empty cup and I will fill it. Come to me with a full cup and there's no room for me to give to you. Yes? So humility creates that empty cup. Humility is inspiring when people see that we can be confident enough to be humble. That is a compelling reason for teenagers, for young people to want to connect with you, okay? So be humble, practice humility. Number two, be available. First, be logistically available. Right? Make yourself logistically available. Most parents do this very well, maybe even to a fault, right? And sometimes young people, especially teenagers who are just upset for a variety of reasons, will say you're never there for me. And parents will just be flustered, oh, I'm there all the time. Look at all I do. And most of the time, I'd say almost all of the time, when young people say you're never there for me, and they start listing logistical things, it's too hard for them to say you're not emotionally available. Or maybe they're not even aware enough of how they're not connected to their own emotions, don't know how to say, I need you emotionally. They may not be there yet for themselves, and they may not even know that's what they need or want from you. So this is your job as a parent with a fully developed prefrontal cortex to be able to be that person, become emotionally available for them, right? And that you're there for them emotionally when they need you to be, right? And it's not their job to tell you when they need you to be. Watch, listen, observe. Maybe go in and just give a gentle knock on the door and sit with them in silence at night without even asking them any questions around how they are. I've done a lot of teaching young professionals, therapists and caregivers who are working with young people. And I said, one thing I like to say to them is stop telling them that you care about them. Just show them. This is the thing they do. My friend who's a big TV and film producer taught me this one time. Show them, don't tell them, in film and in TV and in stories. Show them, don't tell them. So with your kids, show them. And I don't mean like with acts of kindness, which is great, but show them with your emotional well-being, with who you are emotionally. Be emotionally available without having to say it. I care for you so much. I love you so much. Yes, it's very important to say, obviously. But if you rely on that to have them feel it, it has the potential to diminish the power of it, right? Be there with your presence. Be there with your emotions. You might just go in, and if they're really struggling, you might just sit down on their bed, and if they let you, and just cry, and just hold them if they let you, or just rub their foot, or, poke their whatever they'll let you do in terms of some kind of physical connection, right? But the point is, communicate how much you care, maybe not even verbally, but with your heart, with your feelings. Yeah? Good. Another part of being available, emotionally available, is sharing your world with them, right? You want to find the middle path where you are not sharing with them and they become your therapist or your parent, and you're also not so cold and stoic as that they don't have any idea and that they've never seen you cry before. But find the middle path, right? Share your struggles. Share your struggles from your childhood, from your teenage years. Share your struggles from today, right? In that appropriate kind of middle path, just so that they know you and see you as a person who has flaws, right? Isn't just trying to keep it all together and work hard and never sleep, right? That you're fallible. It's great. Okay, so be humble, practice being available, and thirdly, be powerful, meaning you mean what you say and you say what you mean. Follow through on your structure. Make your word mean something. And this goes for a lot of things. When you say you're going to be somewhere, be there. And if you're not there, take accountability for how it wasn't traffic, it wasn't the car, it was you, right? That you take accountability for your mistakes or how you don't follow through on your word. And again, you're not going to be perfect with this. I am certainly not, right? One of the ways that I've taken this on for myself is the adage that early is on time. Yeah. If I arrive in an appointment or to a meeting or really anything that I've said I was going to be there at a certain time, then if I arrive there right at the top of the hour, let's say, and on the dot, I'm late for me. Yeah. And again, I practice there. I'm not perfect at this, but I practice taking accountability that, well, I should have left earlier. I could have predicted there was going to be traffic, right? Or I couldn't have known there was going to be traffic, and I still should have left earlier, right? Again, and going down this road, this is a little bit of an intense way of living, but that's me sometimes, is that being late is a selfish act, right? If I booked an appointment with someone or meeting someone and I'm late, then I prioritize my own needs over theirs, right? That was my commitment. Now, again, I'm not perfect at this, but it's an inspiring way of living for me, yeah? You might want to take that on for yourself. So, all this to say, be a powerful parent. Become someone who's reliable, whose word means something, right? Practice not blaming or complaining all the time about circumstances in your life or people, right? How are you responsible for creating your life exactly as it is? If your life isn't exactly how you want it to be, look at how you are responsible for creating that. Again, it's an intense statement and an intense way to live. And I found for myself that it just unlocks possibilities of how I can have the life that I want and the relationships that I want. The same is true for you with kids. You can have kids that want to connect with you, that are inspired by who you are. Kids are not obligated to like you or be close to you. So one of your roles, and I know this probably people won't agree with this, but it's true. I mean, I've worked with kids for 23 years and tens of thousands of hours. I lived with them for years, and we brushed our teeth around the fire together when we were camping, right? I mean, I see this in them, and they're not obligated. So one of your roles, if you choose to take it on, is to inspire them to be attractive if they want to connect with you, yeah? All right, so here's the fourth and the bonus way of connecting with your kids. Let them not connect with you. let them not want to connect with you. It's a bit of that martial art where you just like let them be, and then suddenly they feel more free to come to connect with you. It's paradoxical, but it's true. Don't be too bothered about them not wanting to connect with you. They're teenagers. Their friends are the most important thing in their life, right? So don't try to elbow your way into the top of their priority list. You're probably not. And it's appropriate. It's okay. They're defining who they are by who their friendships are. So let them be okay with not connecting with you, and you be okay with them not wanting to connect with you. And sometimes they'll feel more willing and more open to being close to you if there's not that expectation. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed the video. Hit a comment, leave a comment below, give a thumbs up or subscribe if you'd like more of this and you enjoyed it, and all my best.